Hello and welcome to our webinar today. We are going to talk about marketing for e-commerce, what works and what doesn't. My name is Danielle Duran. I'm the founder of Boxwood Digital Marketing. I have been working in e-commerce for actually about a decade now, which is pretty crazy to say, but I have worked on the content side of marketing for e-commerce. I have done pay-per-click, SEO, also even worked in pricing strategy, both as part of an in-house marketing team and with the agency. So Boxwood Digital Marketing, it was founded in 2017, and we focus pretty much exclusively in working with e-commerce companies. So 5 key areas of digital marketing that we are going to look at today are paid search ads, social media marketing, SEO, email marketing, and website design and branding. For each of these, we are going to look at the data, some current industry trends, and talk about some real client experiences. Ultimately, our goal is to answer this question for each of those: does it work? So first, before we jump in, here's some information about the e-commerce industry. So in the US and Canada, there are about 1.3 million e-commerce companies. So that is a pretty staggering number, and it is growing. Revenue from retail e-commerce in the US was estimated at roughly $768 billion in 2021, but by 2025, it's estimated that it will exceed $1.3 trillion. So that is growth of 169%. So we aren't the only ones seeing these numbers. Everyone else seeing these numbers are probably going to want a piece of this pie. So it's a good time to try to get a stronghold in your niche as an e-commerce business owner. So also over here, it's projected as well by 2025 that e-commerce sales are going to make up almost 24% of all retail sales. So almost about a quarter of all retail sales will likely be online by 2025. So how much are e-commerce companies spending on marketing? So generally for any business, the rule of thumb is 7 to 8% of your gross revenue should go to advertising. But according to the SBA, for many e-commerce companies, that figure is actually closer to 19%. And I believe that is because really your advertising and your digital marketing is all you really have as an e-commerce company as a source of new business. You are not brick and mortar. People aren't walking or driving by. It's a lot harder to kind of have word of mouth for something that's online. So your marketing budget just takes a much bigger role for e-commerce companies. And this also shows, projected upward, the billions each year that it's projected that retail e-commerce will be spending on digital advertising through 2024. Also, I thought this was a crazy statistic. A NASDAQ study predicts that by the year 2040, 95% of all purchases will be through e-commerce. So that's a pretty staggering number by 2040. We'll see if it happens, but it seems like a lot of forecasting thinks that e-commerce is only going to grow and grow and grow until it's almost exclusively how we shop. So let's jump right in and start with paid search ads. So what are paid search ads? Paid search ads, most popularly run through Google, are paid placements at the top of the Google search results. So as you'll see with this graphic here, I just typed in the term shoes to see what my results page looked like. These results with this little ad text next to it with the arrow pointing, those are the paid search ads. And then later down without the ad, those are the organic listings, which we will talk about later. And those are the ones related to SEO. But right now we're just talking about these paid ad placements. And they can appear in this all category, in shopping, in maps. Really, ads can be any type of search result. So some quick stats. On average, e-commerce businesses spend about 3 to 6% of their annual revenue on PPC. Google search ads have an average ROI of 200% for those using them. So I have this qualifier in here because obviously not everyone is using Google Ads, and there could be a scenario where someone tried Google Ads, it didn't work for them, now they're off the platform. So 200% for people who actively use Google Ads. So this also is pretty good to take note of. 92% of all browsers do actually scroll past the ads and go to the organic results. So if you are focusing only on ads, there's still a huge portion of the population that you are missing if you are not also working on organic results through SEO. So some pros and cons of paid ads. Pros, they work immediately once they're up and running. It's not one of those strategies that takes months and months or even years to pay off. If done well, it is a great way for shoppers to find you with high intent to buy. So think of your own shopping habits. When you're looking to buy something online, you probably start with a Google search. So Google search for something like where to buy shoes, or, even coffee filters online. It's someone who's searching that has a pretty high intent to buy. They're close to a conversion action rather than just kind of showing ads to anyone and everyone who is maybe reading a news article. These are people who are actively looking to buy. Also, most paid search ads, especially if you have like a well set up e-commerce website already, you can usually send people who click your ads to your existing product pages or your category pages. It's something that doesn't always take a lot of other infrastructure created to be able to run. Some cons, I would recommend hiring an expert to set up your ads and run them. If you don't really set them up well, it's just a really easy way to burn a lot of money really fast and not realize what you did or where it went. Also, you do usually need a healthy budget to get these ads to work effectively. Google does some machine learning, and the ads actually will run better over time and with more budget. So it's kind of hard to get to a place where they're running really well if you always keep the budget super small. Also, another con is that you pay per click, and that price that you're paying is based on what your competition is willing to pay. So if you're in a really competitive space, it can just get really expensive to pay for each click. So to answer our question, do paid search ads work well? Don't kill me, but I put it depends. It was hard to really go fully yes or fully no here because we just do see some clients where paid search ads work really well, but then we have had clients where we never quite find that stride, it never quite clicks, and we focus on other strategies. We do generally encourage our clients to focus on transitioning to SEO at some point. So even if you use paid ads to fill in those gaps or to start getting traffic early on, we just encourage SEO to be more of a long-term strategy, because then you're not stuck paying for every single click. So paid search ads do work well for retailers where shoppers will be searching for a specific brand or product name. So if people are searching for what you sell by name, intercepting that Google search with an ad can be a great strategy. Remarketing campaigns work really well through paid search ads. So if you have a big email list or you get a lot of traffic to your site overall, you can collect that data and run paid search ads that will show a specific set of ads specifically to people who have visited your site before or who are past purchasers that you have their email address. So also with larger budgets, like I mentioned, the campaigns can work really well because you just get a lot of time to experiment and let that Google machine learning kick in. Paid search ads can be difficult for retailers with a really wide variety of product types and stocking levels. If you have products that are changing all the time on your website, or that are going out of stock, or you just are selling things in a million different categories, it can be hard to get a lot of traction with the paid search ads. Also, new to market products that no one is Google searching yet, that's also going to be really hard to get paid search ads, because you're trying to intercept a Google search. You can't really create the demand that isn't there through a search ad. Also, small budgets, as we mentioned, it can be difficult. And when you have really low margin products, of course, all marketing is probably going to be difficult to budget for when you are on low margin, but it just can be easy to get that margin eaten up by your paid search ads if you are working with really low margins. So let's move on to social media marketing, which I'm sure most of us are really familiar with. But so, what is social media marketing? They're paid placements in someone's social media feed versus an organic post, which is a page you are already following. A paid ad is placed into your feed and it will have this little sponsored icon here, and it's a page that you're not necessarily already following. So, some quick stats: typical ROI is around 95% for those using social media ads. Organic posting ROI is really difficult to measure. Often that can be used for brand building and repeat buyers, but it is one of those things in marketing that it is difficult to gauge the ROI on. Social media ads do actually cost 47% more than they did in 2021. Anyone who's been doing social media ads in the last couple of years, I'm sure completely believes this and has seen it. I know that we have seen it where social media ads are getting a lot more expensive each year. So it's been interesting to kind of, refine strategy around that. Some pros and cons here. Pros: organic posting does work well if you already have a following. So if you have a fair amount of followers on your page already and past customers, social media marketing can be a really nice way to, announce new product launches and boost those purchase numbers on a regular basis. But it does take time and money to get there. So also, social media marketing is a nice way to increase your touch points. There's stats floating around that, between 3 and 5 times is the number of times that someone needs to see an ad or see a product before they'll take action on it and make a purchase. So social media can be a nice way to keep in touch with those people who maybe opened an email, maybe then they also visited your website. Oh, now they're seeing the product on social media. So it can be a way to reach that 3 to 5 touch points. So also, for fun and visual products, social media marketing can work really well if you already have imagery and products, and maybe you're kind of selling a lifestyle that people want to follow on their own because they find it interesting or inspirational or beautiful and want to have it on their social media feeds by themselves. So they can really kind of grow themselves if you already have a pretty fun visual product. So cons, I'm sorry to my fellow agency owners, it is kind of hard for agencies to do social media marketing well. So that means that often you need to have someone on your staff that is going to either do the posting or work in conjunction with an agency, because it just can be really hard to get content feeling really real and personal and organic and current, taking current photographs or, testimonials that just came in. It can just be hard for an agency to do a good job at making those pages kind of fun and engaging. So also, like we just talked about, costs are really going up for social media marketing. So it's making ROI, a lot more difficult to get a great ROI with social media marketing, whereas a couple of years ago, that ROI we saw of 95%, that was a lot higher. So it may just continue to go down as privacy laws continue to roll out. And social media marketing is just hard if you have kind of a boring product or in B2B. So, if you sell something like commercial Wi-Fi routers, or, another example might be paper plates and paper cups, it's hard to really create an account that is really fun to follow when you have some of those drier B2B type products. So does social media marketing work? No/it depends. Okay, I'm sorry. I know that this is kind of a ridiculous answer, but but we are at mostly no, but can work for some people. So that's why we have this it depends. We just have seen it really struggle over the past 2 years and have encouraged a lot of our clients to redirect funds to things more like PPC and SEO. But if you do have a really fun visual brand and kind of go into that lifestyle realm of product, you probably still can get social media marketing to work. It's just a lot harder for your kind of average run-of-the-mill dryer type products. Also, if your target customers are in a niche that's easy to target with social media ad options, you can also have some success there. Think of the information that Facebook has on you. They know your age. They probably know where you went to school. Uh, Maybe if you've added some interests like books you like or, clubs you're in. So if you think about the information that Facebook has on you, if your target customer lines up with some of that demographic information that they have, then it might be possible for you to still target well on social media. But with some of the privacy laws, it's just gotten harder to target really accurately because Facebook can't really follow user behavior into their other apps and web browsing now. So like we mentioned, can be difficult for more boring or B2B products. Products also that need an explanation or are new to the market, that can be hard for social media marketing because you really only get 1 second for someone to look at an image as they're scrolling. And to get them to stop can just be really hard if you don't have a product that is eye-catching with just a split-second photograph. If it's something that needs a little bit more explanation before someone can understand it or want to buy it, it's just hard to hold someone's attention for that long with social media marketing. All right, so let's move on to SEO. What is SEO? It is the strategy of getting your website to rank well on Google for relevant search terms. So back to our screenshot from before, we have these paid ads up top. The organic listings are down here. They do not have this ad icon. And these are not paid placements. The DSW and Zappos here, they are not paying per click. These are organic, natural placements. So each time someone clicks on that and goes to their website, there's no cost to it. So some quick stats. The top 3 Google search results get almost 55% of all clicks. So over half of the searchers do not go past the first 3 results. So that is always our goal, is to get our clients into the first 3 because you're getting over half of all of the searchers. That doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't still work on, a goal of getting to the first page. You will get some clicks, but those first 3 is really where you're going to see insane results. So on average, e-commerce companies spend 1 to 3% of revenue on SEO. ROI on e-commerce SEO is around 175%. And organic traffic is the #1 source of e-commerce website traffic overall. Some pros and cons. Pros, if you do it well, it is a fairly stable source of traffic. So you're not really relying on Facebook's algorithm or, privacy laws roll out and all of a sudden your ads don't work well. You're not really at the mercy of a unstable system. Of course, you are party to the Google algorithm, but if you do, kind of white hat is the term in the industry, if you play by the rules with your SEO, you won't see huge ups and downs when new algorithm changes come out if you kind of play by the book. So it is self-compounding. What we love about SEO is that when you start to earn traffic from Google, you then get rewarded with more traffic. So Google looks and sees, okay, we gave them a couple hits here. Those users stayed on their website. They had a good experience. They even made purchases. So now let's reward them with more traffic because people enjoyed their site. So it's something that as you start to grow, it will naturally kind of grow and compound on itself over time. Whereas something like pay per click, you will always be paying for every single click. That's not the case with SEO. Some of it can be DIY, which is nice. If you feel comfortable doing some copywriting and some work on your website, it is something that you can work on yourself. There might be a time where you do need expert strategy to come in and take you to that next level, but we work with a lot of clients that get by for a couple of years just doing their SEO on their own. Also, if you do hire an agency and you end up leaving them, you will still benefit from their work because it is tied to your domain name and you have still been building up an asset. Unlike ads, you turn them off, your traffic's gone tomorrow. SEO is not like that. Cons, it does take time to see results. It can be one of the longer strategies to see results, especially for new websites. But once you get there, your ROI is usually awesome, but it can take a year or so. Also, to really compete on a large scale, you do need to hire experts to take you to that next level. It is also a more expensive form of digital marketing because it is something that takes a really long time to master, unlike social media marketing or something that has a little bit lower of a barrier to entry. SEO can be a little more costly because it is just difficult to do really well, and it does take a lot of experience to do well. All right, I gave you a clear answer. I promise it was coming. Okay, does SEO work? The answer is yes. We are huge advocates of SEO. Pretty much all of our e-commerce clients, it's the core of their strategy because the traffic, it converts at a really high rate. You see great ROI as you get to, months and years working on your SEO. And so we really love it because our clients love it and we're happy when they're happy. So SEO works really well for most types of e-commerce businesses. Like I mentioned, it's the #1 source of traffic and sales for e-commerce companies. Also, for businesses that don't want to rely on ads, SEO is a great alternative. Can be difficult though for new businesses, smaller budgets, because it just takes time and work to get there like everything else. Also, if you have really kind of generic products or hyper competitive spaces, that can just make it harder to get good placements if you are selling a really common product or competing against giants, like Amazon and Walmart or something like that. I'm sure if you sell products like that, though, your path to success is just going to be more difficult overall anyways. But yes, we give SEO a stamp of approval. We recommend it for pretty much every e-commerce business. Now on to email marketing. What is email marketing? I took this quick screenshot out of my inbox. We see an email from a jewelry company. We've got some pictures, some back in stock text here. So it is, promotional emails that show up in your inbox. I'm sure everyone gets lots of these and is very familiar. So on average, e-commerce businesses spend 1.3% of annual revenue on email marketing. Okay, so I have some problems with this stat, but I still included it. So according to Constant Contact, ROI of email marketing is 450%, which just seems kind of insane. If that were true, what are we doing here? Go send emails and make 450% back. My guess is that Constant Contact is leaving out all of the costs behind the scenes. I believe they're probably just looking at their subscription cost versus sales from emails, because there's so much more that goes into an email besides just a subscription cost to something like Constant Contact. Who took these photographs, who wrote this copy, what designer even laid this out, who cropped these. There is so much more that goes into an email than just the subscription cost. That's why I'm wondering if this is so high, because if that were true, like drop everything and only do emails, which is not the case. So some pros and cons of email marketing. If you are internet savvy, you can probably DIY it. There are a lot of really user-friendly platforms out there, like MailChimp, and even Constant Contact is pretty easy to run. Also, it does have a good ROI if you have a good list of past customers and earned contacts from something like, a coupon form on your website or something like that. It is kind of hard, though, to get to the place where you have a really good list. But once you do have a good list, it is a really easy way for people to click through and make a purchase. So also, it can be a good way to get a boost in sales, even if clickers aren't buying the products advertised. So you'll often just see a jump in sales across the board when you send out emails, because it's just a little reminder to your customers that you exist. So maybe they've had a product on their mind that they've been meaning to buy. They see your email come in, even if it's about something else, they're like, oh yeah, I was going to go buy that. And they'll still just click through the email because it's super easy access to your website and make a purchase. So it can be a good boost in sales. Some cons, you really do need to have that high quality list to get it to work well, which takes time and effort to build. Generally, you would need some graphic know-how to do a really good job with emails because the graphic side of it is really important. So sometimes that does mean hiring a designer. Good lists take time and money and other forms of marketing usually to build. So usually, some SEO or inbound marketing to even get that list in the first place. Open rates are on the decline as it has become oversaturated. I'm sure we've all seen that our inboxes have kind of blown up over the last few years because the secret's kind of out that it's a good strategy for e-commerce. Does email marketing work? Again, we went with a yes here. So usually the spectrum of email marketing is not if it works, but usually how often does it make sense to send emails. So if you don't see a huge ROI, maybe you send them once a month because your customers maybe just aren't quite as excited about your emails. But if you see a lot of engagement and a lot of purchases and have a lot to say, then even up to twice a week can work for email marketing. But everyone should do it to some extent. They work well for, pretty much all e-commerce companies where you can purchase directly on the website. Having that click through and that easy path to a purchase is awesome for email. If someone needs to call for a quote in the middle of it, that can make it a little bit harder. Also, fun products like clothing and lifestyle, interesting visuals and aesthetically pleasing things are just a little more eye-catching in emails. Also, businesses that hold a lot of sales and promotions. Often, those are the only emails that people will really open. If it's kind of like, if you're not giving me a discount or you're not giving me something for free, I don't care. So when you hold a lot of sales and promotions, it can be easy to do email marketing because you have something to say that people care about every time. So your open rates and engagement rates are going to be a little higher. Email can be difficult for businesses that only sell one or two products. It's just hard to keep your content fresh and interesting when you have a really small product selection. Also, when you don't run sales or promotions, it's just hard to get a lot of attention when your subject line, doesn't say something like 25% off or something like that. Also, products that aren't repeat buy. So, if you're selling mattresses, your list of past customers isn't going to be quite as valuable to reach out to because it's going to be a long time before they need another mattress. But yeah, overall, we do recommend email marketing for pretty much every e-commerce client. All right, lastly, we have website design and branding. So with website design and branding, we don't just mean having a website that exists. We mean more so, investing in branding, investing in creating a little bit of a brand identity along with your website and creating that trust versus something that you just, a logo you bought off of Fiverr or something like that. So some stats here, 88% of visitors are unlikely to return after a poor website experience. So you probably are only going to get one shot here to impress your customer and keep them on your website. Also, a reason to invest in branding. Memorable brands are correlated with higher price points and can typically charge double their competitors. So there was a really interesting study. There's a link here in the footer to a study that found that brands that had a higher recall rate with test groups were correlated with the test groups being willing to pay more for the product. So same product, but a more memorable, stronger brand identity, consumers were willing to pay more for, which I thought was really interesting. Some pros and cons of investing in good design and branding. So some pros, stronger, more memorable channels or brands do have an easier time with visual ad channels. So if you do have a unique identity, you're just going to get a little more traction on those visual channels we talked about. Also, e-commerce shoppers do trust and will buy from sites that are more polished and professional. So with the rise of e-commerce have come a lot of scammers too. So people are a little more hesitant to buy from sites that don't feel like they're run by a professional business. So polishing up that design and branding a bit can just help first-time buyers trust you. Also, a stronger brand helps customers and employees feel more connected. Cons, it can be difficult to measure ROI as it is a more intangible marketing asset. Also, to go beyond the basics does require some design and aesthetic skill. So, this can be difficult if you have a founder or an owner that doesn't really understand visual marketing or believe in visual marketing. It can be hard to get buy in since it is hard to measure ROI once you do it. Also, professional branding and web design work is often a large one time cost, and success is subjective. Again, with difficult to measure ROI, it can just be hard to spend a ton of money on a huge project to redo your website, redo your branding, and you might see a little bit of a jump in sales, but it's really kind of the long-term returns that make it worth it. So it can just be a hard to justify cost because it is a little bit expensive right up front. So does design and branding work? Yes, slash it depends. So we're at least closer to the yes side on this. It depends. But so it is necessary on some level for every client. But we do feel like with some clients that start with smaller budgets, you can start with just a base level branding and website design and build on it over time. It still needs to look polished and professional, but you can start with just a kind of basic identity rather than, a super strong, memorable visual branding and personality that can kind of formulate over time. So it's not something that you need to spend years perfecting before you launch your business. It can be something that grows. So, design and branding works really well for businesses that have a unique point of view and a story. If you already have a story to tell, maybe, think of Tom's giving away a free pair of shoes to children in need for every pair purchased. If you have a strong story like that, your branding can work a lot better because you already have a unique, memorable component. Also, visually pleasing, if you have a product that is already aesthetic and kind of fun and maybe has like a lifestyle component to it, then your branding work is just going to be a little bit easier because a lot of it's already built into what you're selling. Can be difficult for small budgets. It's just hard to put that at the top of the list when you're hardly getting any sales. Also, when you have a founder that lacks an eye for design, it can just be hard to, and this is, of course, coming from the agency point of view, it can be hard to really find a branding set and colors and a font if we have a founder that doesn't agree with our advice at all. So it can just be hard to make a lot of progress when you don't have a lot of buy-in. Also, products or companies that don't have a lot to say, if you're just kind of a reseller of a very run-of-the-mill product, it can just be hard to really build up a unique brand identity around that. So branding and design, does it work? Mostly yes, but with a little bit of it depends. So in summary, we've got paid search ads, it depends. My it depends look a little more ridiculous all laid out in front of me. Social media marketing, no slash it depends. SEO, yes. Email marketing, yes. Website design and branding, yes slash it depends. If you have any questions, please feel free to email or call. This is my direct email address. I would love to hear from you. Also, on our website, you'll see a form there to book a consultation. I am totally happy to talk with you about your business, whether it turns into us writing up a proposal for you, or if we just talk and I give you some, advice on what I've seen in your niche. I am always happy to field questions and talk to you, whether it becomes a business relationship or not. Well, I hope you found this informative and thank you. And I hope you tune in next time.